And welcome back to Spiritual Strength. I'm Gene Zanetti, your coast-to-coast spiritual coach from Spiritual Strength, building athletes for Christ. An athlete for Christ needs to know the way, show the way, and go the way. You want to be all three. You want to be the total package in Christ. Okay, so today's topic of the day is Ember Days. Okay, so we're approaching Ember Days, our first Ember Day, following the feast day of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross. We're hitting our first Ember Day tomorrow. Okay, so what are Ember Days? What's the history? What's this all about? So basically they're 3 days of fast and abstinence at the 4 different times of the year. Okay, so spring, summer, fall, and winter. And we're approaching now the fall Ember Days. Okay, so this is done as a attitude of gratitude, of thankfulness to the Lord for his gift of the harvest, of food, the gift of nature. Okay, so it's after 4 feasts. So for fall, since that's where we are right now, it's following the Feast of the Holy Cross, the Exaltation of the Holy Cross, which was last Saturday, the first Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And then for December, it's after St. Lucy's Day. It's the Wednesday, the Friday, and the Saturday that following St. Lucy. For the springtime, it's after Ash Wednesday. So not on Ash Wednesday, but following Ash Wednesday, the next Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And for the summer, it's after Pentecost. So the Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday following Pentecost are days of fast and abstinence. Now, these are not binding anymore. This tradition started back, I believe, in the 11th century. It's not binding. We do not have to do this anymore. But it is good to stay with the traditions of the Catholic faith, because these traditions were put in place to call to mind certain things, to direct, to build virtue in certain areas, and it draws our heart and our mind closer to the Lord. Think about when Jesus said that certain demons can only be driven out by prayer and fasting. Okay, exorcists have said this, that they do a better job, their prayers are more efficacious after they fast. They do a better job of driving out demons after they fast. And we also know from church tradition that our prayers take on greater efficacy when we fast, because we're quieting down the appetites. Okay, instead of answering the call, anytime I'm hungry, I eat. Anytime I'm thirsty, I drink. We're always saying yes to the physical, the sensual, and it's important that we say no to that. And in fact, when it comes to lust, one of the biggest things that the earliest Christians noticed is that lust and abstinence, or curbing the desire, the lust and gluttony, they go hand in hand with food. Lust and gluttony tend to go hand in hand. So if we don't control ourselves well when it comes to food, we often don't control ourselves well when it comes to sexual pleasures. And it's very important that both of them are under control. Okay, so moderation. So we're thanking God. We have these Ember Days, thanking God for the gift of nature, for food, and also to build the virtue of moderation, which is a sub-virtue of temperance. Okay, so it also reminds us to assist the needy. So where did this come from? Back in the 11th century, when the church was converting heathens, they had at 4 times of the year for the harvest, they were worshiping their gods. These are all false gods now, okay? And what the church has always done, the church has always tried to sanctify, and sanctify meaning Christify. In other words, build into the church any practices that can be utilized for a good purpose. Okay, so it's not saying that the church, copied from the pagans and now we're pagan worshiping. No, pagans were worshiping their gods, their false gods, to be clear, at 4 times of the year during these times. And while Christians were converting these heathens, what they did is they adopted the practices that were in there that were good, as long as they're directed towards the true God, because obviously any of these things directed towards the false God is not good. So the church at its best has always been able to assimilate anything from any culture that is good, true, and beautiful, because God is goodness itself. God is truth itself. God is beauty itself. So when there's different seeds of the word, when there's different pieces of true, good, and beautiful in different places, the church has always been able to assimilate that and Christify it, so to make it Christian. So again, the church has done this over time, in her wisdom. It was sanctioned by popes early, like I said, in the 11th or 12th century, something like that. And it's good to do that. Even though it's not required of us, it's good to go with these days of fast and abstinence, especially given the difficulty of our world right now, the craziness of our world. difficulties in the church, a lot of confusion, a lot of error being spread. We got the Amazonian, the synod in the Amazon that's coming up. We want to pray for the pastors of the church, the shepherds of the church. We want to pray for the Pope. We want to pray for the cardinals, for the bishops, the priests, for the entire church and for the entire world. So our prayers will take on greater efficacy if we fast. And of course, offering that up to Jesus, uniting it with his passion on the cross. But we need to do that. So even if you're not going to do full-on fasts, give up something for the Lord on these upcoming Ember Days. So tomorrow, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, since it's directly after the Feast of the Holy Cross, these are Ember Days. Give something up. Don't put sugar in your coffee, or don't put milk in your coffee, or don't put salt on your food. Give something up. If you're not going to do a normal fast, keep the tradition of these Ember Days, because we want to build the virtue of moderation. We want to give thanks to the Lord for all of his gifts. We want to remind ourselves to give to the needy, and we want our prayers to have maximum efficacy. Okay, so get in the habit of either fasting or mortifying the flesh, especially on these Ember Days, because this is traditionally when the church has done it. So there's a lot of people, even though you might not hear about this as much, there are a lot of Catholics in the world that will be celebrating these Ember Days with fast and abstinence. If you can't go all the way with it, that's okay. Just give up something. But Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And like I said, it's 4 times a year, and the way to remember it is Lenty. So for Lent, when Ash Wednesday is Lenty, Penty for Pentecost, Crucy, which the feast of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross, Crucy as in cross, Lucy, and Saint Lucy for December. So Lenty, Penty, Crucy, Lucy. That's how you remember those Ember Days. But write it down on the calendar and join in this great tradition that the church has always had. God bless you. God bless your families.